Previously on Pulp Fiction, I showed some books that I had bought at the bookstore that day, and I'd asked viewers to comment which one interested them the most. And the overwhelming majority voted for this book here, The Marchand Woman by Brian Garfield, writing as John Ives, 1979. And this book is about a woman whose son is in the Peace Corps and has just been kidnapped and executed by right-wing terrorists, and she is out for revenge. And I had said that I was looking for a good action-adventure novel with a female lead, and one comment that really grabbed my attention was left by Duncan McCurdy, who pointed out that not only is it a female protagonist, but the enemy is right-wing terrorists, not the usually anti-communist slant these books tend to have. And I thought that was a clever insight, so make sure to check out Duncan McCurdy's channel for more clever insights. And the other thing that's unique about this one is that Carol Marchand is 40 plus and a divorced single mother. They don't say exactly how old she is, but if you do the math, she's at least 44, and even remarks that she might be closer to 50. And most of these lead female action stars are depicted as being in their late 20s, like Modesty Blaise, for example. And I half expected this to be a cross between Modesty Blaise and The Executioner, but it really isn't. It's too much of a slow burn for that. The book is in 4 parts, which is kind of pointless because no lengthy duration of time elapses between those parts. And it's a lot of plotting, and the action takes place in like the final third of the book. So what's happened here is that the Marchand son was in the Peace Corps and in the wrong place at the wrong time, essentially, and just so happened to get kidnapped along with a U.S. senator and his entourage while in Mexico. And they're being held for ransom by a splinter group of anti-Castro Cuban exiles from the Bay of Pigs days. Now, the execution of the Marchand son was not supposed to happen. And the guy that did it was an untrustworthy member of the group to begin with. But we spend half the book with the guy who was in charge of the operation when the execution happened. He's like the general of this small group. And we find out that this general, his heart is not in this. And he mourns for everyone affected and even lights candles to show his remorse, and he struggles with the guilt and the loss of the innocent life. And he's only going along with this because he knows the old man who's orchestrating this whole thing is going to die soon and leave him with an inheritance. And he feels that this whole operation's not going to get off the ground anyway. And to kind of build this general's character, you know, on the way home, he's thinking of his own family and how he should pick up some presents for his kids before he gets there, and wondering if his one daughter still has a cold. And he talks with his wife about how the kids are watching too much TV and they should set some rules. So you start to develop some sympathy for this guy, but the Marchand woman is coming. Now, the Marchand woman, what she does for a living is she writes and directs movies. And all 3 have won an award of some sort, and 2 have made money. And she's working on a 4th. But her love of films really shines through in this. There's a spicy romance scene that goes like this. He turned his lips into her palm, kissing her hand. Everything seemed to move at 64 frames slow motion. And there's another one too, when she's pitting her wits against the CIA agent, and she's basically accusing him of not being on top of things. And she says something like, if this were a movie script I was reading, I'd have to ask the writer why they don't have the CIA doing CIA things. And then she gets into that, like Duncan McCurdy was talking about, and she says something like, if these were left-wing extremists, you'd be acting a lot differently and probably be all over this. And that's when she kind of starts to suspect that the US are turning a blind eye to this because it's anti-Castro. So that's when she hires a mercenary and goes out after these guys herself. And her idea of revenge isn't to sacrifice the living to avenge the dead, as she puts it. She doesn't want to kill them. She wants proper justice, and she wants them punished publicly for the world to see as kind of like a tribute to her son. But there is action, and people do get killed, and the slow burn kind of adds to the impact of that. You know, it's not all senseless violence. And it didn't end the way I thought it would either. I thought this could go like one or two different ways, but no, it didn't go in any of those directions. I was kind of surprised. But it is good. And the few ratings on Goodreads are unanimous with 4 stars. So you can take that as you will. And there is an ebook for it as well. But that about does it for this episode. Thanks for watching. Over and out.